Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you are new here, and welcome to the 4th episode of the Build Your Own Budget Using a Notebook series. For this episode, I'm going to be creating my monthly budget setup, or I'm going to be setting up my budget calendar, and I'm going to show you guys what that looks like in here. I know I was going to do a savings tracker, I think I mentioned last episode first, but since April, I cannot believe April is almost here, I want to go ahead and set up my budget calendar for that so that I can start off with the new month in here and then do my budget the following week as well. So we're going to do the budget calendar. I did want to mention, if you guys didn't see the first episode, I talked a little bit about this notebook and how I wanted something that had a little bit more sheets. This one has 100, I believe, and it's also wider. So I'm able to, with my budget calendar I mentioned in that video, it's bigger. So, or bigger than this notebook, I mean, because I'm going to be using a printable. I'm not going to be drawing it in like I did with the original DIY budget notebook over here. I'm going to show you guys real quick. So when I did this video last year, I created this calendar inside the notebook, which you can totally do if you want to, but I did find it to be a bit more time consuming. But I'm going to use a printable. I hope I put it in here. Nope, I did not leave it in here. Hang on. Okay, so I do have a blank budget calendar in my free resource library if you guys want to grab one, or if you have a template that you already use that you want to print out, or again, if you want to draw it out, go ahead and do that. But I wanted to just put this in my notebook without having to worry about drawing it in. So I had originally had this in here, I think. I'm going to put that back in here. So we're going to go ahead and do March. I'm going to put this back in here. I'm still not sure if I'm going to backtrack my budget. Wait, not March, April. Just kidding. I had originally wanted to backtrack and write out my paycheck budgets from January to March, which I think I'm debating if I still want to do or not, because I want to see if I can get a full year's worth in this notebook. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and start with April, because I do have my budget in my spreadsheet that I've been consistent at. And so with the notebook, I'll just go ahead and start with April. And I believe I made a note here, insert blank calendar printable. So that's what's going to go on here. And I like this notebook because it's pretty big. And I think this is kind of reminds me of the 5-star notebook. Those are kind of on the wider side. But if you get something like from the Dollar Tree or at Target, this is pretty, as you guys can see, it's a little bit smaller, but we'll do whatever what works for you guys. But I do love how this notebook is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and just tape this on in here. I'm probably going to, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and fill this out first. I'm going to be using highlighters, and I'm going to use my favorite ones, the only ones I've had like forever. These are the Zebra Mild Liner highlighters that I used to use a lot when I was paper budgeting. So I'm going to use that, and I'm just going to use clear tape to tape this on, because my son, my 5-year-old son, when he was younger, a little bit younger, he used up all my washi tape. And I don't have any more washi tape. So, yeah, and then have a whiteout just in case. I'm going to use this pen, and hopefully it doesn't mess up on me this time around. So I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward through this. I'm probably going to use this notebook to just help me write. I will see you guys in a little bit, and I'll show you how I broke down or put all of the things that I need to put in here to help me with my budget. Okay, so while you guys are watching me set up my calendar, I thought I would talk a little bit about some of the benefits of using a budget calendar and why you might want to use one. So I have 3 benefits that I want to talk about. So 1, it provides peace of mind. 2, you're more likely to be motivated to crush your financial goals. And the 3rd one is that you become more organized. Going back to how using a budget calendar can bring you peace of mind, I never used to you think that that's what a budget calendar or any calendar really can do for you. But when you use one, you're basically putting all of the things that you need to be paying for down on paper, not just all of the expenses, but also the incoming income and when you guys are getting your paychecks, when things are due down on paper. And it's not just the bills. You also want to make sure you put in all of the rest of the event that happens in your life, the birthdays, the school events, sports activities, for the kiddos, doctor's appointments, and all of that, because the last thing you want when you're creating your budget or when you're managing your money is all of the surprise expenses that come up. So being as prepared as you can with what you know will come up will help. And if something does eventually come up during the month, you can plug it into your calendar and then make sure to work that into your budget. And then the second benefit of using a budget calendar, this should have been my number one if I was putting this in order, because but using a budget calendar will help you be more motivated to crush your money goals. And how this motivated me, we had a ton of debt, and just seeing that all written down on paper, it made me really mad, to be honest, because I just couldn't believe the amount of bills that we had, and all of the debts that we had trumped all of the just regular bills that we had, like living expenses and stuff. And what I used to do even before I began my budgeting journey on YouTube, before I even started sharing it, I remember highlighting it and I think writing it in red. I think I threw that planner away, but it was a planner that I had a long time ago. And I remember putting all of our debts in red, and I did not like to see it. And besides your goal of wanting to get rid of debt, let's say your goal is to save more. Maybe you can plug in all of the savings transfers that need to happen on your budget calendar, which I don't think I did it here. I think I just do it automatically now. But if you're just starting out, make sure to plug in those savings transfers, or maybe set it on auto, or have it on your calendar just to remind you to put it on your in your budget. And the third benefit of using a budget calendar is that it helps you become more organized. And what I mean by this is, if you have certain events coming up, weddings, vacations, planning for a birthday party, and all of that stuff, it just kind of helps you map that out on your calendar, so you know that you need to put that into your budget. Let's say, for example, you are planning a vacation, just like how we are for Hawaii. You want to have certain dates where you are doing certain things, like have a financial to-do list, like what I have here, that I will talk about in a little bit. But if you have a family vacation coming up, you want to make sure you have a plan for, like, if you need to book flights on certain dates, then your hotel, and then what activities and stuff. Using a budget calendar can totally help you stay on top of all the planning and all that stuff that you need to book. And then you can go ahead and plug it in or work it into your budget. Okay, so this is how my April budget calendar looks, and it was nice that I was able to, because I was kind of blanking out on the dates of our bills, so I was able to look at my budget overview master list, because since I have the dates and stuff on here, I was able to rely on those dates. So how this is broken down, I learned this method from the Budget Mom, where she breaks down her paycheck budgets, where paydays, so we get paid bi-weekly, so payday on the 1st, 15th, and then the 29th. Although it seems like we're getting paid, we are getting paid, of course, 3 times this month. This paycheck here on the 29th is going to be our first paycheck budget going into May. So that's what that is. So for April, it's just going to be the first paycheck and then the 15th. And how this is broken down is I highlighted our first paycheck budget here in blue and our second paycheck budget here in yellow. I do have it written down here as well. And on my spreadsheet, it's kind of the same way, where I put paycheck budget number 1 and then what the dates are, paycheck budget number 2 and what the dates are for that budget period. And then I just highlighted the bills in the similar color as my paycheck budget. If you guys would have seen what my calendar used to look like with all the debts that we had, it was crazy, because we had a lot of accounts. I think we had like 12, 13 at one point of just debt. So it's nice that this is just nice and neat. There's just not a lot of bills anymore compared to before. But yeah, so all the bills are highlighted according to the paycheck budget period. And usually in the first paycheck budget period, it's not too heavy on the bills. There's only rent, pay range, and then electricity. So just 3. But then that one bill is kind of a lot because it's our rent. And then all the rest of the bills is kind of towards the end of the month. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 bills, 6. And I did highlight my son's dentist appointment. We usually don't have a copay, but I don't know, sometimes I'll budget a little bit more for health just in case, because you never know. Lots of fun and events. I did highlight that in purple. So birthday parties, 3 birthday parties it looks like, and then my son's football games are still this Sundays, and I believe it's playoffs on the weekend of the 23rd and 24th, and hopefully our son's team is doing pretty good, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be playing through that last weekend. And I like to highlight these because we've been using our food budget to pay for our early dinner, late lunch meal after his games, and we've been totally fine with that because it's just something that we kind of mini celebration after the game is we go out and get something to eat. And then what else? Oh, and then spring break for the kiddos is from the 4th to the 8th. My husband also happens to be off one day that week, so I'm hoping, I did ask him if we could do a beach day if the weather permits. I want to do like a beach day, and then just plan for activities around that so the boys and I are not at home. We don't plan to spend too much. We'll probably hit up the library or something one of those days or a couple of those days and just go to our local park. I do have a section here for notes. I totally forgot to go over it, but these are basically kind of like our goals, but also like a financial to-do list, like a reminder. So I need to make sure I book our Hawaii trip. I do have airline credit because we've canceled that flight 3 times now, 2 times. I think this will be the 3rd time I'd be trying to book another hotel. So we did get a refund, and then book activities. And then I want to make sure we save. My husband has been working overtime lately, and I want to make sure we fully fund our emergency fund. And then anything extra will be for Hawaii. And then my son's Legoland weekend is next month. I want to make sure we book the hotel. And what else? Resume Easter get together. I'm so excited. I think we haven't done it for 2 years now. It's a potluck that I host here at our park. And then I usually don't put business stuff in here, but I think I need a reminder to pay for my LLC. I got an email saying that they're doing something about updating their systems so that we'll be able to pay a little bit easier. So I'm just waiting for that, and that's going to happen at the end of March. And if you guys didn't know, here in California, the renewal for LLC is $800. So I have that money just sitting. I'm trying not to spend it because there's a lot of things I want to invest in with my business, but I don't want to touch our own personal money. But yeah, so need to pay for that. Yeah, that is the goal and the notes or the financial to-do list so far for April. I mean, it's still, what's today? It's March 24th. I'm sure things might come up and I might have to write things here and there. But for now, this is how it's looking. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my paper. I'm going to go ahead and put that over here. My budget calendar is now attached to the page that I want it to be on. And next week's video, it's going to be about setting up my bi-weekly paycheck budgets, because I do want to make sure I start using this already in April with my budget and see how that goes. So the plan is to create a budget here, paycheck budget number 1 here, paycheck budget number 2 here, and then all the expense trackers and all of that stuff. So look out for that next video if you guys are interested. Hopefully you guys are finding these series helpful. Let me know if you are following along. Let me know what budget system you are currently using, whether that's digital or paper. Let me know what's been the most helpful for you guys. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, especially for watching till the end. And I will talk to you and see you in my next video. Have a good one, guys. Bye.